morning students. Welcome back to the chemistry class after your summer breaks. Today we are going to start with the chapter 3rd, that is metals and non-metals. So let's start with the chapter. First we will discuss the meaning of elements. What do we mean by elements? See students, elements are the substances which are made of only one kind of atoms and which cannot be split further. We know that around 114 elements they are being identified. Okay, now what are metalloids? Metalloids are the elements which shows the properties of both metals as well as non-metals. So we had classified all the elements either into metals or non-metals, and some of the elements they are showing the properties of both and they have been termed as metalloids. Okay, so today we are going to discuss about metals and non-metals, but we should know the meaning of metalloids. And what are the examples of the metalloids? That is silicon, germanium, Si, germanium, arsenic, As, Sb, antimony, and Te, that is tellurium. So these are the metalloids which are showing the properties of both metals and non-metals. Now we are going to study the differences between metals and non-metals in terms of their physical properties. Okay, so first I have taken a point, electronic configuration. What do we mean by electronic configuration? In class 9 we had studied that the arrangement of electrons around the nucleus in different shells, it is called as electronic configuration. So in case of metals, if the valence electrons, see here students, again the term came valence electron. What do we mean by valence electrons? The electrons which are present in the outermost shell, and the inner electrons they are called as inner core electrons, okay, or core electrons, CORE electrons. So here the metals which are having either 1, 2 or 3 valence electrons, okay, and the innermost electrons they are also called as inner core electrons. For example, we are having sodium, magnesium, aluminium. Okay, now what is the atomic number of sodium? It is 11, magnesium 12, aluminium 13. Okay, what is the configuration? 2, 8, 1. What is the configuration of magnesium? 2, 8, 2. And that of aluminium? 2, 8, 3. So we can see here they are having 1, 2 or 3 valence electrons in their outermost shell, and they can easily lose these electrons, and that is why they are also called as electropositive. Okay, so how can you define the metals? Metals are the elements which are having either 1, 2 or 3 valence electrons which they can easily lose, and they are called as electropositive. Okay, now non-metals. Non-metals are the elements which are having either 5, 6 or 7 valence electrons. Okay, 5, 6 or 7 valence electrons, that means they can gain electrons. Here they were losing electron, lost electron, and here they will gain electron. Why they are losing and gaining electrons, students? To complete their octet so as to achieve the stability that we had studied in class 9. So here I am taking the example of nitrogen, phosphorus and sulfur. What is the, okay, they will be of one group. I will take the example of, just wait, silicon, phosphorus and sulfur. Okay, the atomic number of silicon it is 14, phosphorus it is 15 and sulfur it is 16. Let's write their configuration. It is 2, 8 and 4, 2, 8 and 5, 2, 8 and 6, and one more we will take chlorine, that is 17, 2, 8 and 7. Okay. See students, I had taken an element which is having the 4 electrons in their valence shell. So we have studied that if they are having 4 valence electrons, they will not either lose electrons or not gain electrons. So we will not keep them either as the metals or as the non-metals. So I had written this silicon specially here so as to show you that it is having the 4 valence electron, so it will not be called as non-metals. But these phosphorus, sulfur and chlorine, which are having 5, 6 and 7 valence electron, they can easily gain electrons and they will complete their octet by gaining the electrons, and that is why they are also called as electronegative. What they are called as? Electronegative elements. Okay, these are electropositive elements, these are electronegative elements. So whenever you have been asked what do you mean by metals, you have not to give the meaning in terms of any of the physical property, but in terms of configuration you will give the definition. Okay. Now, second point I had mentioned here, number and position in the periodic table. See students, in chapter number 5th, we will go study the periodic table, and there we will see that the metals, they are generally present towards the left hand side. They are present towards the left hand side of the periodic table, and the non-metals, they are present towards the right hand side of the periodic table. And here the elements, out of the total elements, around 78% around, they are the metals, and right now we are having around 80, almost 80 elements, they are the metals, and almost 20 elements, they are the non-metals. Okay, now physical state. When we talk about the physical state, solid, liquid or gas, so these metals, they are generally solid and hard. Okay, now but there are exceptions. Solid, generally they are solid, but some are, yes, the example it is mercury. The mercury, it is liquid. Students, can you tell me why the symbol Hg is written for the mercury? Yes, it is correct, because of its Latin name hydrogyrum. The symbol, it is Hg. So all metals are solid except mercury, which is liquid at room temperature. Here one thing more I will tell you about cesium and gallium. These two metals, gallium and cesium, if you will place it on your palm, it will melt. Okay, so what you can say here, their melting point is our human temperature, human body temperature, and around 37 degree Celsius. Okay, so their melting point, that means the temperature at which it converts from solid state to liquid state, it is the human body temperature. It is the human body temperature, and that is around 37 degree Celsius. Okay, now solid, we are seeing the exception, hard. They are generally hard except lithium, sodium, potassium. Students, always the questions are being framed on the exceptions. So please remember the exceptions. They are solid and hard, but mercury, it is liquid. Gallium and cesium, they are having very low melting point around the human body temperature. At 37 degrees Celsius, they melt. On keeping on your palm, it melts. And lithium, sodium and potassium, they are the soft metals. Okay, they can be cut with the help of knife. Now, when we talk about non-metals, they are solid or gases. Okay, if you talk about carbon, sulfur, phosphorus, they all are solid. If you talk about hydrogen, chlorine, nitrogen, oxygen, all these are gases. Now, exception here it is of bromine. Bromine is a non-metal which is liquid. Okay, bromine which is existing in liquid state. So this is an exception. Now the next property, it is the malleability. What do you mean by malleability? It is the property by which a substance or a metal, I should rather use the word metal, can be beaten into sheets. When they are hammered, they can form a thin sheets. So they are highly, we will write, they are highly malleable. What do you mean by malleability? Property by which they can be beaten into thin sheets. And metals are highly malleable, and here gold and silver, they are the most malleable metals. Gold and silver, they are the most malleable metals. And when we talk about non-metals, they are non-malleable. Okay, now ductility, the property by which they can be drawn into wires. So metals, they are highly ductile. They are highly ductile. That means they can be easily converted into wires. And gold, it is the most ductile metal. Students, 1 gram of gold, from 1 gram of gold, a 2 kilometer long wire can be made. Okay, so gold, it is the most ductile metal. Okay, now here in this non-metals, they are non-ductile. Fine. Next property is sonorous. Whenever they strike a hard surface, they produces a characteristic sound. Whenever they are struck, they produces a sound. So here we will write, they produces a characteristic sound. Okay, that means they produces a sound, or you can write they are sonorous. On here we will write they are non-sonorous. They do not produce any such characteristic sound. Lustre. Lustre is the property which gives a shining surface, and they are lustrous. Metals are lustrous. So what do you mean by lustrous? They are having the shining surface. And why they shine? Because they reflect the light. So they are lustrous, shining surface. Fine. And here they are non-lustrous. Here the exceptions are there, students. Diamond, graphite and iodine. These three are the non-metals which are lustrous, that means they are having the shining surface. Melting point and boiling point, they are generally high. Melting point and boiling point of metals are high, and we had seen the exception. Which are the exception? Gallium and cesium. Gallium and cesium have low melting point. लो मेल्टिंग पॉइंट मीन्स जैसे उनको पाम पे रखोगे दे विल मेल्ट. सो उनका मेल्टिंग पॉइंट क्या है? ह्यूमन बॉडी टेम्परेचर, दैट इज 37 डिग्री सेल्सियस. ओके, नाउ हियर व्हेन वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट नॉन मेटल्स, their melting point and boiling points are low, and here the exceptions are again of diamond and graphite. Okay, so see students, these diamond and graphite, these are the allotropes of carbon, and about their structure we will study in chapter 4 in detail. What do you mean by allotropes of carbon and why they are having these different properties from the other non-metals. Tensile strength, that means they can bear a lot of pressure, they do not easily break. So they are having high tensile strength, and here they are having the low tensile strength. Okay, so here we have seen some of the physical properties. Metals, they are having 1, 2 or 3 valence electrons. They are electropositive in nature. They easily lose electron. Non-metals, they are having 5, 6 or 7 valence electron. They are easily gain electrons to complete their octet and attain the stability, and they are electronegative in nature. And then we had seen different properties and then we had distinguished them. Now students, we are going to change. Now we are going to discuss about their physical and chemical properties. Let's start with that. Thermal conductivity and electrical conductivity. In terms of these two physical properties, let's differentiate metals and non-metals. What is thermal conductivity? Conduction of heat. What is electrical conductivity? Conduction of heat. Okay, so here how the metals behave and how the non-metals behave. Students, for this, first we will see the, for thermal conductivity, first we will understand the experiment which has been given in our textbook. See, once tent has been taken. Okay, now to this tent, a metal wire is clamped. A metal wire is fixed with the help of a clamp. This is clamp, this is stand, and this is a metal wire. Any metal, aluminium, copper or any metal we had taken and we had just fixed it with the help of clamp to a stand. Okay, now to another end, free end, to this free end of the metal wire, with the help of wax, a pin has been fixed. So this is the wax and this is the pin. So have you understood the setup? A metal wire has been clamped and to this free end a pin has been fixed with the help of wax. Now to this end one burner has been placed, and with the help of this burner, heating is done. Okay, now this heat goes over here, this portion of the metal heats up. Okay, and after some time what you will found that this pin falls down. So why this pin falls down? Because the heat travels from this end to this end, and because of this heat the wax melts and the pin falls down. So what is the conclusion of this activity? That metal is a good conductor of heat. So we can write here good conductor of heat. Okay, metals are the good conductors of heat, and here lead, it is the poor conductor. This is an exception. This is a poor conductor of heat, and of course mercury is also a poor conductor of heat. And we know that silver, aluminium, copper, these are the good conductor of heat. And when we are talking about the non-metals, they are always the poor conductors of heat. Poor conductors of heat. Okay. Now the next one, it is electrical conductivity. For this students, we will take one battery. And to this battery we will fix two clips. Okay, so here we had made one battery. This is the battery. This is the bulb. Okay, this is the switch. These are the two pins, or with the help of which a sample can be inserted over here. Okay. Now what you will do, this is a battery, bulb, switch, and these are the two pins, clips, with the help of which you will insert the sample, any metal sample you will attach it between these two clips, and when the bulb glows, that means it is a good conductor of electricity, and if the bulb do not glow, that means it is a poor conductor of electricity. And what is the role of the switch? To make or to break the circuit, to make the circuit open or closed. Okay, so what you will observe here, that all the metals are generally good conductors of electricity. Good conductor of electricity. Okay students, good conductor of electricity. Which is the best conductor of electricity? Silver. Okay, then we are having the copper and then aluminium. And in physics we had studied that though silver it is the best conductor, but still we use copper because it is quite cheaper as compared to silver. And in your house you must have seen around the wire there is a covering of PVC, polyvinyl chloride. There is a covering of plastic around these wires, metallic wires, because they are acting as insulators. Okay, so to protect, for the protection, the coating of plastic is done over there. Now when we talk about non-metals, they are poor or bad conductor of electricity. They are poor conductor of electricity. But here one exception is there, that is graphite. Graphite is a good conductor of electricity, though it is a non-metal. And why it is a good conductor of electricity? Students, there are free electrons present, and because of the presence of free electrons, they are conducting the electricity. That also we will discuss in chapter number 4 in detail when we will discuss their structures. So students, here we have discussed the physical properties, and that's all for today. In the next class, we are going to discuss the chemical properties of matter.